Good morning, everyone. How are you? I see a couple of you have joined in, so thank you for being on time. I see Vandedi is there, Siddharth is there, Shiva, Mary, Simran, Anushka is there, Nilabjo, Janisha, Shriram, Karthik. A very good morning to all of you, right? I'm doing good. How about you guys, right? I think the temperature is now like somewhat pleasant, if not very hot. Good. Vandedi, yes. Hey Gokila, how are you? Hi Radhika, good morning. Hey Shivam, good to see you guys joining in early. Today we are going to do our last chapter of the syllabus, which is chapter number 8. It's a very repetitive chapter in terms of slides, in terms of how the booklet is, right? How the study material is. It's very important to read the study material though, but I will explain you everything very quickly, right? Because a lot of things are repetition of the same thing, right? Chapter 8 में क्या है? The theory is so much that some concepts are repeating time and again. बार बार repeat हो रहे हैं, right? जब वो बार बार repeat हो रहे तो एक ही चीज समझाना will be difficult. We'll cover that. Our focus today is chapter number 8 complete karna as much as we can, because the next session on Thursday, which is the last session, we will be doing case scenarios, we will be doing exam questions, we will be talking about exam pattern, anything around exams, exam kaise likhe, exam mein kya karna chahiye, kya nahi karna chahiye. We will study about everything, right, in that particular session, right? Aaj ka session dedicated for chapter number 8. Hopefully hum break nahi lenge. We will straight go and finish the chapter early like we do to save time for you and me. But the focus is last chapter. Finally, we have reached the end of the syllabus, right? Yes, yes, Vanity, Airtel is fine. So far, let's see. The class is just beginning. Hey, Siddharth, how are you? Hi, Hitesh. Morning. We'll just wait for another 30-40 seconds, right? We'll just give people some time to join in because it's early morning. People do have to log in and then everything, right? Click on that link, log in. I'll give another 30-40 seconds to others who are still joining, I think. Meanwhile, all of you who are online, any questions, any doubts, do let me know. We can quickly solve that in like while we are waiting for others, right? We can do that while we are waiting for others. Finally, that question will be answered tomorrow. All exam related, all questions about me will be answered tomorrow. Today's focus is chapter number 8. Okay. Morning, Gomati. How are you? Hey, Shiva. Morning, Pooja. Cool. I think a lot of you have already joined. I see like good amount of people on the chat. If there are no questions, let us quickly begin. Let me just refresh the chat. I think, give me 1 second. And there we go. Perfect. I'm good. Telegram group, Janisha, I checked. Probably it's not advisable, but I am pretty sure other teachers are doing. Probably that should be fine, right? But I've been advised that it is not advisable to open a Telegram channel beyond ICIPOS, right? It's because we are part of the board of studies right now. I'm not an individual private tuition teacher doing that, so that is not advisable from a compliance perspective, right? I'm good, Brahmati. Cool. Perfect. Let us begin with chapter number 8. Okay, let us begin with chapter number 8, which will majorly talk about a few things from implementation and control. Now, we have studied that a strategy, the steps to build a strategy is you first plan, then you implement, and then you control. All the chapters till now were around formulation, were around planning, strategic business level plans kya hai, corporate level plans kya hai, functional level planning kya hoti hai, what are the different strategies at all those levels, last chapter we studied about leadership styles, organizational structure, how an organizational structure is important for a particular strategy to be successful. हमने ये सब पढ़ लिया, right? We studied a lot around formulation of strategies. Chapter number 8 is about implementation and control of all these strategies. कि भैया execute कैसे करते हो, भैया control कैसे करते हो, कि actually में जो strategy आपने बनाई है, the actual strategy that you have planned or what you think is right for your company, whether it is giving the right results, whether it is giving the desired results or not. Right? That is what chapter 8 will help us understand through very simple tools, through very simple theory, कि भैया इसको check कैसे करते हैं, and how do you make it into a successful implementation. You can plan to build a Burj Khalifa, but you will have to implement those plans with deadlines कि हाँ 4 साल में हमें इतनी बड़ी बिल्डिंग बना के खड़ी कर देनी है, right? So that is what we are going to talk about. Cool. Territorial structure of SBU based on geography. So she based on geography, North India, South India. इसके basis पे अगर आप SBU बना दोगे, so that is territorial structure of SBU, territory के हिसाब से, right? Okay. Now, this chapter, strategy, implementation, and control, has certain topics that we'll cover, right? Which is interrelation between strategy formulation and implementation. उसके बाद हम पढ़ेंगे चेंज क्या होता है, व्हाट इज स्ट्रेटेजिक चेंज. उसके बाद हम जाएंगे पढ़ने स्ट्रेटेजिक टूल्स, कंट्रोल, सॉरी, स्ट्रेटेजिक कंट्रोल, देन स्ट्रेटेजिक ऑडिट. We'll talk about BPR, which is business process reengineering. Very simple, very interesting. Most asked question in examinations come from BPR. And then we'll study benchmarking. Again, a very common question in examinations coming from benchmarking. Benchmarking से एक या दो questions तो आते ही हैं, right? So these are the few 6 topics we will cover in this chapter: strategy, implementation, and control. Let us, without wasting any time, get into the chapter. Okay, strategy implementation is not synonymous with long-term plan, but it is actually a consistent change, a consistent planning and execution of smaller strategies to reach a preferred future position, right? If I tell you a long-term plan does not mean strategy. A long-term plan is not a long-term strategy, is not a strategy, okay? Or a strategy is not a long-term plan, because strategy to reactive and proactive होती है, okay? A long-term plan is, let's say, next 3 years हम क्या करेंगे, that is a long-term plan. The long-term plan is what you will do as an organization for the next 3 years, while a strategy is both reactive and proactive. Now, I will try and put the entire syllabus in context for you. इस chapter में आपको पिछले 7 chapters अपने आप merge हो जाएंगे. Okay? How? Strategy, chapter 1 and 2 में we studied it is proactive and it is reactive. It is proactive होती है और reactive होती है, right? Strategy is proactive and reactive. It is not a long-term plan. It is a consistent, but a rather consistence of enterprise attempts to reach a preferred future situation or a state. Continuously change करते करते strategy बनती है. It is not a long-term plan. Classic MCQ on the screen. Strategy is not a long-term plan. It is a consistently reactive and proactive activity to reach a future position, right? While series of strategic moves may be planned, but competitor का action, external environment, ये सब आप कैसे करोगे? इसको तो आपको react ही करना पड़ेगा, right? You can only react to competitors, like responses to competitors' actions, to external environment, to change in the government policy. GST बढ़ गया, GST कम हो गया, export बंद हो गया, सरकार ने कुछ external environment आपके ऊपर change कर दिया. How do you react basis that strategy? That is strategy, and which is very different from long-term plan. Okay. Strategy is a managerial exercise. Chapter number 1 and 2, again, we have studied introduction and about strategy, strategic management, that it is a managerial exercise concerned with translating decisions into actions, right? It is a managerial exercise. Manager level के लोग strategy करते हैं, The employees are only executing the formulation, and thinking about strategies is done at a manager level. It is a managerial activity. It presupposes that the strategic choice was made considering feasibility and acceptability, which means his strategy was built on certain logics. This will bring profitability, this will reduce cost. या तो हम कॉस्ट लीडर बन जाएंगे, या तो डिफरेंशिएशन करके डिफरेंशिएशन से वी विल बिकम अ लीडर, वी विल हैव अ कॉम्पिटिटिव एडवांटेज. All that feasibility and acceptability of the strategy is already done, right? Implementation का क्या मतलब हुआ फिर? Formulation तो हमने पढ़ लिया. Implementation of strategy means allocation of resources and need for adapting to the organization structures. Why? To handle activities, training people, devising appropriate systems. All this will come under implementation. All of this will come under implementation, which means आपने plan तो कर लिया. Now you will have to implement. The first and foremost thing in strategy implementation is allocation of resources. Number 2 is adapting the organizational structure so that people can work, people know काम क्या करना है. राइट आपने प्लान तो कर लिया, बट लोगों को बताना तो पड़ेगा भाई काम क्या करना है. So to handle activities, to train people, devising appropriate systems, all of this is covered in implementation. Formulation is done in chapter 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 talks about organizational structure and leadership. Chapter 8 talks about implementation and control. Implementation is about allocation of resources and telling people what to do, training people how to do, and devising appropriate systems, processes within the organization. एक process set करना पड़ेगा कि इसके बाद ये होगा, इसके बाद ये होगा. वो सब setup करना is strategy implementation, right? That is strategy implementation. Cool. Good morning to everyone who's just joined. Namrata, Smita is there, Sneha is there, right? Quickly get abreast with what we are doing. We are doing chapter number 8. Okay. Now, the relationship between implementation and formulation, right? Question to you guys, very simple. MCQ में नहीं, case study में कभी-कभी आ जाता है, right? It's not common in MCQs, but sometimes you will see this kind of question in case scenarios, that which of these comes first? Formulation comes first or implementation comes first? Now, there could be a case, they say, let's say, for example, XYZ, there is Mr. X. He was building his organization, and he first planned allocation of resources and then decided what kind of corporate strategy he wants to devise. Is this the right flow? First, he talked about allocation of resources, and then he thought what kind of corporate strategy he should apply to his organization. Is that the right flow? I have answers already. Super good. Corporate leadership plays an important role in implementation. Absolutely, yes, Mansha. Is that the right flow, what I just talked about? No, it is not right. First, you formulate a strategy, and then only it can be implemented, right? Strategy formulation comes first, and strategy implementation comes only after you have formulated, right? Cool. That is the simplest thing that we're going to study now. A company will be successful only when strategy formulation is sound and strategy implementation is proper, which means sound ka matlab, whenever you read the word sound anywhere, this means logical. Okay? This should be logical. This means that strategy formulation should be logical. The strategy formulation should be logical and strategy implementation should be proper, right? That means proper means profitable. ये प्रॉफिटेबल होना चाहिए, प्रॉफिट कमा के देना चाहिए इसको कंपनी को, राइट? तभी implementation is useful and successful. Okay, strategy formulation should be sound and logical. Strategy implementation should be proper. Now, Look at this chart. It is relationship between strategy implementation and strategy formulation. Okay. Question to you. Look at the graph or what is there, the matrix. Look at the matrix on the right hand side of the slide. And my question to you is, okay, if my strategy is flawed, that means there are problems in my strategy formulation, but my execution is super good. I have excellent execution, but my formulation, मेरी planning बहुत खराब है, but मेरी execution, वो plans को actual actions में डालना is excellent. My strategy formulation, my strategy planning is very poor, but my execution is excellent, right? What should I do as an organization? What should I do as an organization? Absolutely, Neelabja. That is right. Without formulation, there is no direction for the organization, right? I will not use that harsh word. Essentially, you can say without formulation, there is no direction to the organization. But the question I have asked is, my planning is super poor, but my execution is excellent. It's super good. What should I do as an organization? Don't tell me D. Tell me what should I do. Option D to mujhe bhi pata hai. What should I do? Answer that and you'll remember. Okay. You need to change the plan. Okay. Redesign the strategy. Form a new strategy. Modify the strategy. Improve your strategy formulation. Right? Absolutely. If your planning is poor and you are super good at execution, bhaiya plan change kar lo, because execution to aap achhi kar hi loge. Right? But tell me, if my strategy formulation is excellent, but my execution is poor, my strategy formulation, my strategy planning is excellent, my plans to बहुत अच्छे बनाता हूँ, but I'm not able to execute that. मेरा exam, my timetable is super good, but I'm not able to follow my timetable. What should be my strategy? My plan is excellent, but मेरा execution थोड़ा सा poor है. Okay, great, Mansha. We'll talk about that. That is the topic of the next slide, though. Right? Improve your implementation. That is right. Start working effectively. Try doing that. Focus more on implementation. Right? Whatever may be the level of execution, but if the planning formulation is poor, then it will not be effective. For sure. Right? Then we have to develop a strong strategy alternative for the organization. Always, if the strategy formulation is poor, no level of execution can save you, right? You will not be successful. To have a successful business, your strategy formulation has to be sound always. Tabhi successful ho, right? Tabhi successful ho. To my question of when my planning is excellent, my execution is poor, which means I will mean box number A, which talks about trying to move B, which means I have to work on my implementation. Meri strategy sahi hai. I just need to focus on converting that into actions, right? Develop people, execute, train personnel, super good part, right? Execute the strategy properly, improve execution skills, make necessary steps to change and cope up with execution skills. Absolutely, right? All of these are case scenario questions, okay? And you are answering them beautifully. So I think I'm happy. I don't need to explain a lot. It's a very simple matrix and you guys know it, right? Most of us fall in this category. All of us fall. Dese to pooch lo bhai. I am the world's biggest procrastinator, right? You give me a work, I'll do it next year. Is saal to nahi karunga, right? Okay. On the other hand, if strategy formulation is good and strategy execution is poor, then we can look at other ways to execute. Probably yes. Whatever is weak needs to be worked on, right? Okay. Business model redesign and execution readjustment. Cool, Megha. I think you're answering from the previous one. The answer has come now, not an issue. It is the right answer. Cool. Simple matrix. Relationship between strategy implementation, strategy formulation. If it is sound, right, formulation is sound and implementation is excellent, you will be successful. Otherwise, whatever is weak, you have to work on your weaknesses. As simple as that. This matrix tells that formulation sound hai, implementation excellent hai, you will be a successful business. If any of these two is weak, you need to work on that. Okay, that is a simple logic of this matrix. Let's go to the next one. Okay, the twin approaches in lack of strategic direction. That means there are two things: efficiency and effectiveness. Okay, remember this. Arey bhaiya, itna zyada. Chapter 8 has so many exam questions, jiska koi hisab hi nahi. Right? The difference between efficiency and effectiveness. Let us see who can answer this. I have given the answer on the screen as well. Very simple to understand. What is the difference between efficiency and effectiveness? What is the difference between efficiency and effectiveness? The answer is on the screen. Look at the slide, read through the slide, take 30 seconds and answer. What is the difference between efficiency and effectiveness? Then I'll give you an example and this topic will be clear. The studies keep shifting from A to B to B to A. I am always in D. You're still at A and B. I'm always in column D. Read the slide and answer what is the difference between efficiency and effectiveness. It's very simple, right? Okay, I have some interesting answers. Efficiency is one's capability. Okay, Pooja. Efficiency is use of resource effectively. Okay. True. Okay, that is right. But efficiency is use of resources efficiently, not effectively. दोनों mix कर दिया आपने, नम्रता, right? Efficiency is capability. Effectiveness is end result. Okay, let us see, which is almost in the right direction. Efficiency is to do the right thing and effectiveness is doing the right things. Okay, we have seen from the slide, that is also true. Efficiency is what to do, effectiveness is how to do. Okay, या उल्टा बोल दिया. Efficiency is related to cost and effective is related to time. That is an interesting point. Efficiency is related to cost and effectiveness is related to time. Okay. Effectiveness is doing the right things. Effectiveness means ability to make effect on something. Efficiency means capability to do what. Okay. Effectiveness means doing the things doing the things. Efficiency means doing the things rightly by right use of resources. Okay, cool. That is right. Now I'll give you an example. Okay, I'll give you an example and then we'll study this topic. Very important, very easy. Okay, effectiveness and efficiency. Okay, now effectiveness is basically outward looking and efficiency is inward looking. Now, what you have to understand here is effectiveness is basically talking about planning. Okay, effectiveness basically talks about planning. Efficiency talks about implementation of those plans. Okay, now your plan is effective, right? But you are efficient in achieving your plan. For example, you are making your exam timetable. You have 2 months for your examination. Listen to this example very carefully and remember this example and you will never have a doubt between efficiency and effectiveness. You have your exams in 2 months. You know there is a marriage coming up next month, right? Shadi hai aapke ghar mein kisi first cousin ki. Right, and in 2 months you have your examinations also. Now, when you are planning your timetable for the next 60 days, which is 2 months, you know that after 30 days, there will be 3-4 days which will be wasted completely. शादी है 3-4 दिन तो बर्बाद हो जाएंगे, आप पढ़ नहीं पाओगे, right? And then you start making your plan of 60 days and you keep a margin of those 4 days as 0 study days. And then you plan your study plan, which is effective plan. It is an effective plan. You have also considered the external environment. You have planned to do the right things, right? You have planned to do the right things because शादी है, जाना पड़ेगा तो जाना पड़ेगा. It's your first cousin's marriage. Family function होगा, you will have to go. You will plan accordingly. That is an effective planning. आपने सब कुछ consider करके, you have considered everything, and then you have planned, right? You cannot take classes right now. It's just 2 months. तो आपको revision classes लेनी है या you just have to do revision. That is effective planning. You can't say कि यार मैं पूरा study material 5 बार ही पढ़ूंगा 2 महीने. No, that is not effective. That is not the right thing to do, right? Effectiveness means to do the right things. Now, if you have 60 days and 4 days are going to be wasted in your cousin's marriage, you cannot study everything. Probably you will have to figure out कि यार मैंने अभी तक syllabus शुरू नहीं किया है. I might have to leave some chapters which are low scoring chapters, right? सब लोग ऐसे plan करते हैं. It's practical way. That is the right thing to do. That means your plan is effective, right? Effective खत्म हो गया. Let's talk about efficiency. Now, efficiency is, you know यार 4 दिन waste होने वाले हैं. That means if I studied for let's say 5 hours in a day, 5 घंटा concentration से पढ़ता, 4 दिन का मतलब है 20 hours are wasted, right? 5 hours every day, 60 days थे मेरे पास, तो मेरे पास 300 घंटे थे, right? I had I had 300 hours, जिसमें से 20 hours are wasted now. I have to be efficient. So मैं 5 घंटे की जगह 6 घंटे पढ़ूंगा, right? Every day I have to study for what? I will have to study for 6 hours to compensate for that loss of 20 hours. This is efficiency. आप internally अपने आप को change कर रहे हो to achieve your plan. The plan has been effective. You are doing the right thing. You have considered everything external. You are doing the right thing. You are focusing on revision. You're focusing on test papers. You're focusing on mock tests. You're not going with the entire syllabus. Effective plan hai aapka. You are doing the right thing. You are doing the right thing, right? Now, instead of 5 hours, you're giving 6 hours. That means you are doing these things right because you're compensating for the losses that are already planned. You're compensating for the plan for the losses which are already planned. Up efficient ho gaye ho, right? You are an efficient student because आपका plan effective है. आप उसको implement करने के लिए you are being efficient so that you get your desired results, right? Effective means to do the right things. Efficiency is mean to do those things in the right manner. Right? If efficiency talks about implementation, effectiveness talks about formulation. Planning की related कोई भी बात होगी तो effectiveness check होती है, right? Efficiency से related कोई भी बात होगी तो वो implementation की बात होगी, right? Now a question to you. Effectiveness is the responsibility of which level of management? Because it is talking about planning. Effectiveness is about strategy planning. तो वो किसकी responsibility है? किस level of management की responsibility है effectiveness? Tell me. If you're running short of time and if your strategy is good, you can get through any kind of situation. Absolutely yes. That's right, Pooja. Corporate level, top management, corporate. No, Anushka, effectiveness is the responsibility. Effectiveness is the responsibility of top management because it is talking about formulation. because it is talking about formulation, right? Formulation की बात कर रहे हैं तो वो top management की responsibility है. But efficiency talks about implementation, right? It talks about implementation, which is operational or functional level की responsibility. It is the responsibility of functional level managers because we are talking about execution there. Effectiveness talks about planning. That is why it is the responsibility of top management. Easy. Let's go to the next topic. चले next topic की ओर. Give me a yes. Give me a yes. All clear, and let's go to the next topic. It's good that the timetable example helped clear this doubt, right? Give me a yes, give me a go ahead, and we'll go to the next topic. I think this is pretty clear. All the points covered, which management level does that, what is it related to, and we also took the tagline: efficiency to do the things right, effectiveness to do the right things. Cool, let's go to the next topic. Perfect. एक और चार्ट है. Now this is the relationship between efficiency and effectiveness. पिछला हमने पढ़ा था implementation and formulation के ऊपर. Now this matrix is about efficiency and effectiveness. Okay. Another question to you guys. Okay, think from the matrix itself. Think from the matrix itself. Now the question to you is: I am very efficient. I am very efficient. मुझे कोई भी काम दोगे मैं उसको सही तरीके से करूँगा. I will do it in the right way. I will do the right things. I am excellent in efficiency, right? I am very efficient, but my plans are not so effective. I am extremely efficient, but my plans are not effective, right? मेरे साथ क्या होगा? मेरे साथ क्या होगा? Right, Raju? Right. The question is, I am extremely efficient, but मेरे plans are not effective. What will happen? This is the best chart whenever you're preparing your study plan. Also, 50 दिन बचे हैं. ये graph के basis पे you can know whether you will score good marks or not. Okay, I'm telling you. This is the best graph for any student. Okay. No, we will not change the plan, Siddharth. We're talking about the end result here. If I am efficient, but I'm not effective, what will happen? Anushka says, I'll die slowly. Right? Why, Anushka, do you want me to die slowly? Right? You don't want to be successful. Why are you saying I'll die slowly? Right? We can't survive. Die slowly. Undesired end result. Die slowly. The efficiency of no base and there is no proper implementation. Absolutely. There is implementation sahi hai. Planning kharab hai, right? There is probably yes. If the plan is not in place, implement kya karoge, right? Slow death, right? Not able to survive. Die slowly. Not plan effectively and you will die slowly. Absolutely. Now think about this from your timetable perspective. आपने planning ही बहुत खराब करी अपने timetable की, but you are a really dedicated student, right? आप बहुत अच्छे हो, you have great concentration, you are not on Instagram 24/7, आप YouTube भी कम देखते हो, right? You are more focused on studies, आप 5 घंटे पढ़ते हो, but full concentration से पढ़ते हो, superb. But आपका timetable बहुत खराब है. You have not planned properly. Your chances of success will be less, which is practical truth, right? Now think about this. If I am extremely effective, मेरा plan बहुत सही है, right? My planning is extremely perfect. बहुत ही अच्छी planning है मेरी. But मेरी execution, my efficiency is not that great. I have excellent planning. मेरा जो timetable है, it is like one of the best timetables that can be there. I have considered all the external factors. I've considered क्या क्या शादी किस किस का बर्थडे आना है, कौन सी पार्टी में जाना है, सब कुछ करूंगा मैं, right? I have factored in everything and my timetable is super, right? But my efficiency, execution बहुत poor है. मेरा execution, my efficiency is very poor. What will happen? Shunil Abdul, I'm just giving you right examples right there, right? How to implement in timetable, live बता रहा हूँ आपको. Answer to the question that I have excellent plan, but मेरी execution, my efficiency is बहुत poor. I'm not able to achieve my timelines. I'm not able to achieve my deadlines. What will happen? You will somehow survive. क्योंकि plan बहुत अच्छा है. क्योंकि प्लान बहुत अच्छा है, राइट? क्योंकि प्लान बहुत अच्छा है, यू विल समहाउ सर्वाइव. यू विल नॉट बी सक्सेसफुल, यू विल ओनली सर्वाइव. You as a business or as a student, you will not get great marks, you might just pass. If your planning is excellent but your execution is poor, you might just survive, you might not be successful, you might not be the top business in your industry, you might not be able to beat your competitors, you might just be able to survive and not be successful if you have excellent planning but execution not good, right? Still manage to survive, which is here. You have high efficiency but your effectiveness is low. That means कि आप survive करोगे. That means you will only survive, right? That means you will only survive. Absolutely. You might just survive and not be successful. Cool. That is the relationship between effectiveness and efficiency. Cool. The next topic is change. One of the biggest things for all the organizations, because BCK में पढ़ा था, external environment is dynamic, it's ever expanding, it is multi-dimensional, right? Remember BCK की that line, it is dynamic, it is ever expanding, it is multi-dimensional, it is vast, it is wide, right? Because the environment is changing every single day. Change in strategy, change in organization has to happen. It comes through implementation and evaluation. Change comes through implementation and evaluation, not through overemphasizing on strategic planning. यार ये तो इन्होंने पर्सनल अटैक कर दिया, राइट? ये तो पर्सनल अटैक कर दिया हम पे. So they are saying you should not overthink, rather you should implement and execute. ये तो हम लोग को पर्सनल अटैक हो गया, राइट? I think first spend 90% of the day overthinking, right? अलग ही सिनेरियोज बना के दिमाग में ओवरथिंक करते रहेंगे. ये होगा तो ये करेंगे, मैं वो करूंगा, मैं ये करूंगा, उसने ये बोला, मैंने ये बोला, राइट? The crux of that particular thing is that change, like if you're burdened by overthinking, if you think you're wasting a lot of time overthinking whatever it is, right? Be it regarding your friends, be it XYZ reason, right? At this age, हम लोग सब overthink करते हैं, right? Nothing bad or wrong with you. So the change will only come when you actually execute, implement, and evaluate, not through overemphasizing on planning. That means stop overthinking, start doing. Simple. Change कैसे आएगा? Change आएगा through actions, not through planning. Change, now case scenario question, MCQ question for you, right? Change will only come through execution, not planning. सोच के मैं कंपनी को इतना बड़ा बना दूंगा, मैं कंपनी को कॉस्ट लीडर बना दूंगा, मैं कंपनी को डिफरेंशिएशन में लेके चला जाऊंगा, राइट? आई विल मेक माई कंपनी लाइक एप्पल, मैं सैमसंग जैसी बड़ी कंपनी बना दूंगा. ठीक है, बना देना, बट कैसे? You will have to take actions. You will have to implement your strategies. Only then you will be able to execute or convert your plans to real success stories. This is what change is. Okay, this is what change is. Absolutely. मेरे सोच विचार में आधा दिन जाता है, correct? ज़्यादा ही overthinking हो गई. I knew it. Like everyone at the age band we are, right? From like 18 to 28, 30, दिमाग में सिर्फ कचरा ही चलता रहता है. Okay, cool. Let's go to understand, right? When I talk about change, I'm talking about implementation is the crux of change and not formulation. Change will happen through implementation, not through formulation. Change will happen through actual implementation, not through formulation. But what is the basic difference between formulation and implementation? Right? Formulation talks about effectiveness, पढ़ लिया. Implementation talks about efficiency, पढ़ लिया. Strategy formulation is intellectual process. Implementation is operational process. बिल्कुल सही, right? Formulation is brainstorming, thinking, building strategies. Implementation is more of operations, executing that strategy, right? It requires a lot of analytical skills. It requires a lot of motivation and leadership skills. Implementation में leadership skills चाहिए. Formulation में analytical skills चाहिए. Strategy formulation requires top level पे होती है strategy formulation, middle and lower level पे होती है implementation. Simple है, right? Formulation, effectiveness, intellectual, analytical, top level. Implementation, efficiency, operational process, leadership skills and motivation, middle and lower levels पे की जाती है, right? Manari, that's right. You're reading very carefully. I'm happy. How can you survive by being effective only and not efficient? Plans to execute. See, you will only be able to survive because your plan is excellent. Okay. Now, what we're talking about here is you might take double the time, or you might take an extra time to achieve your goals if you're not implementing in the right way. But आपका plan सही है, ठीक है? आपका plan सही है, तो आपका plan fail तो नहीं होगा, बस delay होगा. That is why we talk about survival concept, right? It's a great question that you're asking कि survive भी कैसे करोगे if you're not able to execute properly. The essence here is your plans might get delayed, but because your plan is excellent, you will still survive. But आपका success delay हो जाए, right? Your success will be delayed, and that is why it will become survival. When your success is delayed, time पे achieve नहीं कर पाओगे, but achieve जो भी करोगे अच्छा करोगे, but time पे नहीं कर पाओगे, time निकल जाएगा. So that is why we're talking about survival. Okay. Intuitive means जहाँ पे you have to basis assumptions, basis logic, right? थोड़ा intuitive होना पड़ता है. You have to be creative. You have to basis assumption. You have to understand the environment. उसको बोलते हैं intuitive, right? That is called intuitive. For example, share market में you have to be intuitive. अगर oil price बढ़ रहा है, इसका मतलब FMCG के goods का price बढ़ जाएगा, कोल का प्राइस गिर जाएगा, इंडियन ऑयल का शेयर खरीद लो क्योंकि ऑयल प्राइसेस बढ़ रहे हैं. दिस इज इंट्यूटिव. अब बेसिस assumptions you are studying and you are building a strategy, right? That is intuitive. Awesome, great Karthik, that is clear now. बिजनेस लेवल पे भी तो फॉर्मुलेशन होती है, absolutely, but strategy नहीं होती, ठीक है? Strategy business level pe what we're talking about, it's more of leadership, right? What we're talking about here is basically आपको corporate level एक overall strategy दे देता है, then your business level strategies and your functional level strategies are actually converting the overall strategy to real actions. Okay, now if you talk about, your point is correct यार, business level की तो strategy है, वहाँ भी formulation हो रहा है. Function level strategy, we talked about finance strategy, we talked about HR, we talked about logistics strategy, वो भी तो formulation है, right? It is formulation, ideally, but the topic here is that corporate level एक overall strategy set कर देता है for the company, right? कि merger and acquisition करेंगे, strategic alliance करेंगे, हॉरिजॉन्टल इंटीग्रेशन करेंगे या फिर बैकवर्ड इंटीग्रेशन करेंगे, तो सब कुछ प्लान करके बता देते हैं. दे आर एक्चुअली एग्जीक्यूटिंग हाउ डू वी अचीव दैट. उसका फॉर्मुलेशन होता है बिजनेस और नीचे फंक्शनल लेवल पे, which is essentially execution only. If you look from an organization perspective, वो execution ही होता है, right? Smita is now giving me an answer that die quickly. Smita, are you telling me like I should stop teaching right now? Or your answer is so delayed, अभी मेरे को डर लग रहा है. We are on the next topic and Smita says die quickly. Cool. Ranesh, I think your answer is late. Okay, so strategy formulation अभी देखो repeat होगा. 2-3 next slides, the same concept will be repeated. फटाफट से समझ लेते हैं. Strategy formulation concepts and tools do not differ greatly for small, large, for-profit, non-for-profit organization. ठीक है. Planning किसी भी type की business के लिए almost same ही रहती है, right? Be it a small दुकानदार, be it a big company like a TCS or an HUL or Ambuja Cement or Adani Ports, right? बड़ी बड़ी कंपनीज, कोका कोला हो, पेप्सी हो, फ्रीटोले हो, like XYZ, सन फार्मा, कोई भी कंपनी उठा लो, छोटे से छोटा दुकानदार उठा लो, right? You talk about any Ola, you talk about Uber, or you talk about smaller companies like some private company or some private manufacturer somewhere in Jalandhar, somewhere in Meerut, right? The strategy formulation essentially remains almost the same. जिन चुन के वही तो strategies हैं. Do I want to go for a mergers and acquisition? Whether I want to go for product development, market development, new product, differentiation, cost leadership करना है, क्या करना है, competition को कैसे beat करना है. Essentially strategy formulation तो घूम फिर के वही रहती है. The real change or the real thing that differs with the size of the organization is the implementation, right? अब बड़ी companies में implementation बहुत time लेता है, right? If there is a company with 20,000 employees, उसको कुछ नई strategy implement करने में time लगेगा. But with a company with only 100 employees, उनको तो फटाफट से वो अपनी strategy implement कर लेंगे, right? So the size of the organization really affects the implementation and not formulation. Generally it does not impact formulation as much as it impacts the implementation, क्योंकि इतनी बड़ी चीज को संभालना भी तो मुश्किल है, right? Also Baneri says please be alive till 15 September, उसके बाद आपकी मर्जी है, आप बाहर में चले जाओ. Okay, thanks Baneri, thank you, right? Survival means break even. That is right, Mansha. No profit, no loss. Cool. Strategy formulation is more like entrepreneurial activity. ठीक है, जहाँ पे आप brainstorm कर रहे हो, idea बना रहे हो. Implementation is more of administrative task. वो अपने differences में पढ़ लिया, repeat हो रहा है. You can ignore this, right? Repeat ही करे जा रहे हैं. That is what I told you. Now forward linkages and backward linkages. बड़ा ही मजेदार topic है. Right, बड़ा ही मजेदार टॉपिक है, which means okay, forward linkage हमने पढ़ा, we just studied. Now this is a contradiction to what we know. Okay, why is this topic very interesting? Because it is a contradiction to what you and me know. हमें जो पता है उसको ये एकदम चेंज कर देगा पर्सपेक्टिव. We just talked about implementation से पहले formulation आती है, which is right, which is state. It is a universal truth that formulation comes before implementation. पहले आप formulate करोगे तभी तो आप implement करोगे. But implementation impact करेगी formulation को, formulation impact करेगा implementation. अच्छा, ये कैसे होगा, right? How will this happen? Okay, thanks Namita. Thank you for telling me to live हजारों साल, but हजारों साल तो पता नहीं 60-70 तक तो हो जाएगा, right? Okay, so forward linkages and backward linkages means कि यार formulation का impact on implementation is forward linkage, backward linkages implementation का impact on formulation, implementation का impact on formulation. वापस चलते हैं to the example of our student timetable और वहां से फटाफट से समझ आ जाए, right? When you are formulating your timetable, when you are planning your timetable, right? Forward linkage क्या होगी? Forward linkage is the impact of formulation on implementation, the impact of impact of formulation on implementation. That means the example I gave you, अगर 4 दिन शादी में waste होंगे, so instead of 5 hours, now you will study for 6 hours every day. Your formulation of strategy is impacting your implementation. आपको implementation में 5 से 6 घंटे change करने पड़ गए because of formulation challenges, because of planning challenges. You will have to change your implementation. जहाँ पे 5 घंटा पढ़ना था, आप 6 घंटे पढ़ोगे. This is forward linkage. Because of formulation changes. कि यार planning में I know something bad is going to happen in the next 10 days. I will adjust for it and then I will change my implementation. I will have to study more. That is forward linkage. What is backward linkage? Now, the backward linkage is ekdam opposite of this. What will happen now? Now you, if you know your implementation capacity, you will change your formulation. Now, if you know your implementation capacity, you will change your formulation. Example. Okay. The example is basically आपको पता है यार मैं 5 घंटे से ज्यादा तो पढ़ ही नहीं सकता. जिसको जो उखाड़ना है उखाड़ लो. My concentration is only 5 hours. I cannot do 6 hours. I have implementation challenges. I as a student have implementation challenges. मैं 5 घंटे से ज्यादा पढ़ ही नहीं सकता. Right? I don't have time. I don't have concentration. I know even if I think कि मैं 6 घंटे पढ़ूंगा मैं नहीं पढ़ पाऊंगा. Right? I know about myself. That is an implementation challenge. You change your formulation based on your implementation challenge. अब formulation कैसे change करोगे? You will go back to your planning and you will decide कि अच्छा, I had to solve 100 questions every day, but 100 questions तो लेंगे 7-8 घंटे लेंगे. I will only do the 50 tough questions now because I cannot study more than 5 hours. So my plan changes. अब मैं दिन में मैंने सोचा था 100 क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करूंगा, बट नाउ आई थिंक यार 5 घंटे ही पढ़ना है मुझे, इससे ज्यादा मैं नहीं पढ़ पाऊंगा. आई विल नॉट हैव कंसंट्रेशन, सो आई चेंज माय प्लान्स अकॉर्डिंगली. इंस्टेड ऑफ 100 क्वेश्चंस, नाउ आई विल ओनली फोकस ऑन द टफ और द मोस्ट आस्क्ड 50 क्वेश्चंस सो दैट मैं 5 घंटे में कंप्लीट कर दूं. दैट इज बैकवर्ड लिंकेज. Which means it is concerned with the impact in the opposite direction. Where your implementation challenges lead to change in your plans. थोड़ी सी business की बात करते हैं. Okay, let us talk about business in these two things. Okay, I will talk about backward linkage. Forward linkage हमको समझ आ जाएगा. Backward linkage की बात करते हैं. Okay, now there is a business which knows that I can only spend 10 crores on marketing. I have an implementation challenge. मेरे पास implementation challenge है. I can only spend 10 crores on marketing. Okay, and I know आज से 4 महीने बाद, let's say I'm just giving you an example. आज से 4 महीने बाद IPL शुरू होना. Just giving you an example. Business wants to spend 10 crores on marketing. And they know, right, that IPL is starting after 4 months. So what they'll do is, instead of spending it right now, they change their plan. कि यार 10 करोड़ अभी मत खर्चो, क्योंकि IPL आने वाला है, तब हमको खर्च करना पड़ेगा ad में. So they change your plans based on implementation. They have the resources and they have a limit to implementation. यार 10 करोड़ ही खर्च कर सकते हैं पूरे साल में. I can only spend 10 crores in the year. So I will not spend now. I will spend when IPL comes. So my implementation challenge that I only have 10 crores to spend during the year helps me change my plans, helps me change my formulation, right? That is a backward linkage. Cool. This means that your plans should be framed based on your capability of implementing. Absolutely yes, Sri. That is why this topic of forward linkage and backward linkage is added. Formulation पहले आएगा implementation से, but there is a mixture of both. आपके पास इतनी capacity ही नहीं है. You should plan based on your resources, right? You should plan based on your resources. That is what we all should do essentially, right? You will have to plan and formulate based on your resource capability. एक 200 करोड़ की कंपनी कैन नॉट प्लान फॉर एन एक्सपेंडिचर ऑफ 1 लाख करोड़, राइट? आपका रेवेन्यू 200 करोड़ है और आप 1 लाख करोड़ की कंपनी बनना चाहते हो. यू वांट टू बिकम अ $10 billion कंपनी व्हाइल योर रेवेन्यू इज ओनली 20 million. Doesn't make sense, right? Cool. Can we go to the next topic? Give me a yes, give me a go ahead. फटाफट से next topic में चलते हैं. I think these are fairly easy. And I think the examples should be helping is what I believe. नहीं हो रहे, tell me. I'm happy to resolve. Right? Perfect. I'll wait for some other people. I have few yes, I have few go aheads. Let's wait for some other people so that we do not miss out anyone who is facing challenges. Backward linkage is more relevant in making revised plans and formulation. Mostly yes, Pooja. You are absolutely right. It is generally more relevant in revision of plans. Okay. Generally, not hard and fast, but generally, हाँ. Revision of plans में backward linkage ज़्यादा काम आता है. Right? Cool. Implementing capability not necessarily be evaluated on previous performance. It can be forecasted also. Yes, it really depends on how business wants to take it up, right? It really depends on how the business wants to plan things for themselves. Business is an open-ended area. You decide your success, right? There are certain, जो पूरा chapter पढ़ रहे हो, strategic management, it is a guidance for business. It is not hard and fast rules. ये जरूरी नहीं आपको यही करना है. These are set guidance, which is like ये करोगे तो you will be successful, right? But you can do something different also. कुछ creative भी कर सकते हो to be successful, right? But these are general guidance rules, the entire syllabus, right? Okay, cool. Let's go to the next one. Issues in strategy implementation. चलो सब अच्छी बातें कर ली कि implementation होना चाहिए. Formulation के बाद implementation बहुत जरूरी है. You have to execute, you have to be effective, you have to be efficient. सब समझ आ गया. What are the problems? Okay. Now, the problems can be the transition from formulation to implementation requires a shift in responsibility. Top management ने आपको strategy दे दी और वो business level और नीचे functional level पे आ जाए. Business level और functional level पे आके responsibility गिर जाएगी. So shift of responsibility होता है सबसे पहले. Because of that, it might come as a surprise to the middle and lower managers. एकदम से कुछ strategy change होगी. Middle level managers are working on a daily basis. एकदम से top management आके बोलता है strategy change. We are thinking of a new strategy. Go and execute for us. It might become very hectic. For managers, for middle and lower managers, it might become a bit hectic, right? I'll just come to that much. I don't want to break the flow. I'll come to your long statement per se. I'll read that, right? Just give me 5 minutes. I'll complete this piece. So it is essential that divisional and functional managers be involved as much as possible in strategy formulation process. Now, this is again a classic case question. Should business level and functional level managers be involved in strategy formulation? To your question, right? There was a question 2 minutes back कि business और functional level पे तो formulation कर रहे हैं. The answer is है. Case study में आएगा that the top management did not involve middle and lower management. Case scenario में आएगा top management did not involve middle and functional managers in formulation. Will this face challenges for the organization? Will this create problems for the organization? Yes or no? Yes or no? Raghavan, if backward linkages seems to be a drawback if you have good formulation, can be, I would not say a drawback, but a challenge, right? But a challenge. Yes, yes, it will create problems, it will create challenges. Mansha's statement, to some extent, backward is the result of sudden events we apply, reactive strategy, Absolutely right, Mansha, right? Work from home is a classic example of backward linkage. Implementation challenges, people had to do work from home, and then you have to change your strategy basis that, right? सही है, एकदम सही example है. It's a backward linkage. It will create challenges. So, your functional and divisional, which is business level and functional level managers, should be involved as much as possible in strategy formulation process, right? Divisional and functional level managers should be involved as much as possible in strategy formulation process, right? होना चाहिए, उनको भी involve करना चाहिए. The issues in strategy implementation, right? Issues in strategy implementation which are to be considered in sequential manner. Sequential manner. इसी sequence में issues को resolve करना चाहिए. इसी sequence में, in this sequence only, one should tackle the issues of implementation. Project implementation, procedural implementation, resource, structural, functional, behavioral. ठीक है, इसका क्या मतलब? This means all the issues with strategy implementation should be resolved in this sequence only. Number one is project implementation. That means when we're talking about change here, specifically, this topic talks about change in strategy. Now, when you have a change in strategy, you will have smaller projects. You will have smaller projects which will then combine into an overall procedure. Okay, you will have smaller projects. जब आपको change करते हो, आप एकदम से change नहीं करते. Whenever you're bringing a change, you do not change completely. For example, if you look at Indian cricket team right now, a lot of new players in the team, right? Surya Kumar को नया ला रहे हैं. Then there is Arshdeep is there. Then Pant को खिला रहे हैं, or some new boys are coming into picture, right? What is happening is they still have older players as well. There is Virat Kohli, there is Rohit Sharma, Jadeja आता है, Hardik Pandya आता है, right? So it is project based, okay? When you're changing your strategy, when you're changing your organization strategy, it is slow and steady, right? छोटे-छोटे projects होते हैं, एक-एक लोग add करते हैं so that they get used to the organization and slowly and steadily पूरी team change हो जाएगी, right? एकदम से सब नए ले आएंगे तो flop हो जाएगा show, right? Why middle and lower managers are allowed in strategy formulation? Because otherwise वो उनको surprise आएगा, वो implement ही नहीं कर पाएंगे, right? Here, if your parents, now think about this, Hiral, I'll give you an example. Your parents tell you that this is what you have to do. You will have a lot of questions. क्यों करूँ मैं? मेरे को क्यों ऐसे expect कर रहे हो? मैं तो नहीं करूँगी, right? You fight with your parents कि यार आप कैसे मेरे लिए decide कर रहे हो कि मुझे क्या करना है? But if your parents ask questions to you, they make you sit with them and decide what you should do. It will be easier for you to understand their perspective. It will be easier for them to understand your perspective. And same thing happens in the company, right? If you sit across the table with everyone who eventually has to execute, if your parents tell you कि नहीं यार आप तो IIT जाओगे, you will have questions यार क्यों जाऊँगा मैं IIT, right? मेरे को नहीं जाना, मेरे को कुछ और करना है. I want to be an artist, I want to be a singer, I want to be a chartered accountant, whatever the case is. I'm just giving you an example. If they make you sit and discuss with you, why do you don't want to do this? This is what we think is right for you. You tell them, no, this is what I think is good for me. Same चीज यहाँ पे है. Same चीज यहाँ पे है. The more involvement of business and divisional and functional level, the easier it is for the top management to get it implemented in the organization. उनके insights, उनके views भी तो लेना जरूरी है, right? Top management is not the Raja of the company. Okay, you have to be very clear for this entire syllabus for your करियर, फॉर योर एम्प्लॉयमेंट, आगे जाके आप जॉब करते हैं किसी एमएनसी में, बिग फोर में आप अपनी प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, यू वर्क इन अ टैक्सेशन फॉर्म, वेयरएवर यू आर, top level management is not raja. Okay, they can help you, they can guide you, but they should take insights from others as well, क्योंकि असली में execution तो कोई और ही करेगा, right? Back to this, first is project level पे होता है, then the project becomes a procedure, right? The project actually becomes a process, a procedure of the company. Then you tackle resources कि यार जब procedure तो बन गया, but क्या हम लोग, are people so efficient, are people enough people, do we have enough people in the organization for execution, right? Then you change structure, when you add more people you change the structure, कुछ को promote करके manager बनाओगे, किसी को supervisor बनाओगे, right? Your structure changes, right? Then you reach out functions, right? When you change your structure, when new people are added, new managers are added, there will be functional challenges, right? Everyone will be new things will happen, there will be functional challenges, and then you will have to solve the problems in implementation at functional level, and finally at behavior level, right? People should also feel that change is necessary and this change is in the right direction. You have to create a behavior, and that is where chapter number 7, transformational and transactional leadership, comes into picture. Implementation is more about motivation and leadership skills. Abhi bada hai. Implementation is more about motivational and leadership skills. And these are the kind of challenges in this sequence that strategy implementation will have to solve. Right? Project, procedural, resource, structure, functional, and behavioral. Right? So this is the sequence in which implementation challenges need to be solved through leadership skills, through motivation, through proper implementation of the desired formulated plans. Cool. Simple. Very simple, logic based. Okay. Strategic change. Strategic change is a complex process. Okay. We were talking about change. Now we are talking about strategic change. Change पढ़ा था अभी तक सिर्फ, but अब हम बात करेंगे strategic change के. Okay. Complex process involve changing in corporate strategy itself. जब आप corporate strategy ही change कर देते हो, right? Corporate strategy change means you change your competitive advantages, you change your core competencies, you change your resource deployment, you change the scope, you change the vision, you change the mission of your company. तो क्या होगा? What if you have to change? What if you have to change your corporate strategy, right? The resource deployment, the competitive advantage, the scope, the vision, the mission. That is what we are going to study, right? Sure, Namita Shiva, we'll come to your procedural implementation, project implementation का. I know tomorrow एक case study में we had this question, वहाँ पे आपको clear हो जाएगा, right? Hold that topic for now. वो कल एक case scenario है, I've prepared it. वो we'll study और उसमें आपका clear हो जाएगा, right? So be assured on that. ये miss नहीं हुआ, ये कल cover हो जाएगा. वो better cover होगा. अभी समझाऊंगा, so it might become repetitive. You might not able to relate. Case scenario may have this question, it will be resolved. So be assured there. Let's focus on strategic change. Okay. Now, strategic change की जरूरत क्यों पड़ेगी? Why will you even go for a strategic change, भाई? सब कुछ सही चल रहा है, तो अब change क्यों चाहिए होगा? You tell me. The question to you is, why will an organization ever need a strategic change? क्यों चाहिए भाई strategic change? Why would they want to change their strategy? Why would they want to change their competitive advantage? Why would they need to change their mission and vision? क्यों change करना पड़ेगा? Tell me. नेक्स्ट क्लास में बैंड तो नहीं बजेगी, बट आई ओपनर जरूर होगा. External environment, technology changes, outdated, dynamic environment. People always need a change because business environment partly proactive, partly reactive. absolutely, right? Obsolete technology हो जाएगी, business will become obsolete. Dynamic nature of external environment, competition changes, government changes, law change हो गया, external environment में demographics change हो गए, right? So the companies will also have to change their strategy. That is right, because of dynamic environment is complex, because change in some factors, better performance, better environment, opportunities in the environment, your strengths changes, or some threats in the environment, SWOT analysis करोगे, competitive advantage change करने की जरूरत पड़ जाएगी. Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. And it is a continuous process. It is a continuous process due to dynamism and even ever-changing environment. We want to set a trend, create something new. Absolutely yes. समझ आ गया आपको? This slide talks about why a strategic change, because the environment is changing. You will have to change with time. Your mission will change. Your competitive advantages will change, so that you keep leading the business. That is why you need a strategic change, right? 3 steps to initiate the strategic change. 3 steps to initiate the strategic change. 3 steps to initiate the strategic change. Number 1, recognize the need for change. कि जरूरत क्यों है change करने की? Environmental scanning using SWOT analysis आप करो. Then you will create a shared vision to manage change. That means you will change your vision. You will change your vision and mission. You will sit down with every leader in the organization, corporate, business, functional. You will tell them the environment is changing, the business is changing. We need to change our strategy ASAP, as soon as possible. And you institutionalize the change. This means recognize the need for change. This means formulate the new strategy. And this means implement. This means implement the new strategy. You decide and identify कि भैया change क्यों चाहिए. Then you formulate a new strategy and then you implement a new strategy. These are the 3 simple steps in initiating a strategic change. Right? Because of stiff competition, make more easy management. We want to set a trend, right? Some substitute increases rapidly. It can be anything in the external environment. Any factor in external environment can come and pose a challenge for you. Okay. Cool. The 3 phases of change process. 3 steps to पढ़ लिए कि हमें कैसे करना है, but there are 3 phases. Whenever an organization goes through a change, there are 3 phases. Okay. There are 3 phases. Okay. The first is unfreezing, then is changing, and then is refreezing. Very simple, common sense. कुछ change करोगे तो existing organization को आप unfreeze करोगे, थोड़ा हिलाओगे, उसको change करोगे, and then you will refreeze it to build a new organization, right? Which has a new competitive advantage, which has a new organization structure, which has a new corporate strategy, which has a new mission, new vision, whatever it is, right? So the 3 phases of change process are unfreezing. You unfreeze the organization by promoting new ideas throughout the organization. Then you do changes in the organization, right? There are 3 methods for reassessing new patterns of behavior: compliance, identification, internalization. इसको हम in depth पढ़ेंगे in the next slide. You unfreeze by introducing new ideas. Then you create changes. You ask people to change. You ask the organization to change, and you reward. You give money. You give appreciation. You give acknowledgement to people who are supporting the change, and you also punish, or you also give like lesser rating to people who are not willing to change, right? This is what we study about in these 3 ways that organizations actually influence change in the organization. अभी पढ़ेंगे इसके बारे में. And finally, once you have done changes, you do refreezing. That means एक बार सब change हो गया, people are okay with the changes, then you make it as the new organization, right? उसको आप freeze कर देते हो वापस कि अब यही नया, this is the new, right? This is the new business, this is the new thing now which will continue for the next 2, 3, 5 years. Okay, unfreezing, changing, refreezing. But change lana is extremely difficult. To ask someone to change, right? You and me know that, right? अभी तो आपको बहुत ज़्यादा पता होगा, like all of you 17, 18-year-old college में, school में, right? It is so difficult to ask your friends or your lovers to change. वो change ही नहीं होता है, right? So that is the point. So how do you bring a change in the organization? Right? Again, no personal attack. कि change ही नहीं होता है, right? But it is very difficult to ask people to change. Okay. How can you do that? How as an organization can you ask people to change and they change for the organization? वो कैसे करोगे? It is the most difficult thing. और ये HR का काम है, right? Human resources का काम. How do you do that? You do that through 3 methods of new patterns of behavior. If you want somebody to change, if you want to change people's attitude within the organization, right? What will happen? Mansha is giving a very great statement. Change is hard, but change is a must, right? ऐसा लग रहा है Mansha, you're heartbroken, right? Don't be. You have like 7 billion, 8 billion people on Earth, right? I'm just joking. Cool. So 3 ways or methods of reassessing new patterns of behavior. Okay. Number 1 is compliance. Number 2, identification. Number 3, internalization. कैसे चेंज किया जा सकता है लोगों का बिहेवियर? थ्रू 3 ways. नंबर 1 इज कंप्लायंस. कंप्लायंस में याद रखेंगे रिवॉर्ड एंड पनिशमेंट स्ट्रैटेजी. कंप्लायंस में याद रखेंगे रिवॉर्ड एंड पनिशमेंट स्ट्रैटेजी. इफ समबडी इज एक्चुअली कंप्लायंट, इज obeying the new rules and policies, you reward them. You celebrate them, you give them awards, you give them trophies, you give them bonus, you give them increments, you give them hikes, you give them a publicly appreciation. आपको एक CEO आपको एक मेल लिखता है पूरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, that wonderful, you have done a great job. You appreciate, you reward them. And people who are not compliant, who are not obeying the new rules and policies, who are not obeying the changes, you punish them. You don't give them hikes, you fire them, whatever the case is, whatever the strategy is. That is what compliance is all about, right? Number 2 is identification. Identification is psychologically influencing people through role models, right? Abhi, for example, Ratan Tata. If Tata wants to change a strategy, right? Abhi Tata सब कुछ digital कर रहा है. Now Tata is going through, Tata knew they wanted to change the strategy. So they created role models, right? They went to IPL, their CEO, their chairman used to come, they're using digital, right? Har cheez, they are creating role models for the employees. They are becoming role models. Ratan Tata, being a very technology advanced, he has to portray that we as a company, I as an individual want to change for the future. So employees feel that if my boss, if the leader of the company is changing for the future, I should also change for the future of the organization. So by creating role models in the company, you make people realize the importance of change. Internalization. Internalization is internally changing individuals' thought process, right? आप उनका thought process ही change कर देते हो. You motivate them towards the end goal of the organization, right? There might not be any role model in the organization, but you can motivate them, telling ki boss, this is what we want to do, right? This is how a change in the organization is going to help. For example, if there is a medical clinic, okay, so let's say there is Dr. S, and she is actually a medical student, or she is having a small clinic, and she has 3-4 people working in her clinic. Now her strategy is that we need to focus more on poor segment of the society as well. हम लोग सिर्फ बड़े clients से पैसा नहीं कमाएंगे. We will also help the poorer segment of the society. Now the employees will say, यार ये तो बहुत ज्यादा काम हो जाएगा, अब poor segment आप करोगे तो भीड़ आ जाएगी बहुत ज्यादा, हमारे पास तो डबल काम हो जाएगा, right? So by changing their thought process, if that doctor, if she is able to convince those people that, see, I am more focused on social impact as well. सिर्फ पैसा कमाना जरूरी नहीं. We will earn money. We are not saying we will not earn money, but we will also give back to the society in some way or the other. If she is able to internally change the mindset of her 3-4 employees of a clinic, that is internalization. That is how you change the behavior of the organization's employees towards a change, right? That is internalization, right? Check whether CEO is mailing or it is system generated. Absolutely yes. That's a good one already, right? So these are the three ways of influencing people towards change: compliance, reward and punishment, identification through role models, internalization by changing their own entire thought process of the employees, right? So 3 ways of creating change in the mindset or the behavior of the employees. Okay. Next topic, strategic control. Strategic control. इसकी टैगलाइन बड़ी सिंपल है. Strategic control की टैगलाइन बहुत सिंपल है, which says to ensure that what is planned is translated into results. What is planned is actually translated into results is the meaning of strategic control. Strategic control means whatever is planned is actually done. वो चेक करने को strategic control बोलते हैं. To check कि आपने जो प्लान किया था वो आपने अचीव कर लिया, that is strategic control. To check what you planned you have achieved or not, that is strategic control. Cool. चल सकते हैं इस टॉपिक पे. Give me a yes, give me a go ahead, right? I don't want to just jump into next topic without a heads up. I want you to tell me that you are okay to go to the next topic. Which paper we have to solve first, EIS or static management? I think depends on you. Essentially, my advice always has been go with the flow of the exam, of the question paper always. Okay. It's better to do the questions you are more confident about first. But if you are okay with all the questions, हमेशा 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 करो. Examiner के लिए बहुत easy होता है. It is not just about you writing the exam. Think from an examiner perspective. जिनके पास 5,000 copies आनी है check होने, make it easy for them as well, right? वो कहीं ना कहीं वो सोच के हमेशा एग्जाम देना चाहिए. So वीरेंद्र, आप क्या कर सकते हैं? Essentially you should go with the flow. But if you're more confident in SM, solve SM पहले. Condition है. If you're more confident in a particular subject, solve that first. If you're more confident in a question, solve that first. But if you're flat, आपके लिए सारे questions same है, you know all the questions and you know कि कौन सा छोड़ना है, कौन से 5 करने हैं, कौन से 4 करने हैं, you know that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ऐसे ही जाना चाहिए. अगर if you're यार मेरे को 2 ही अच्छे से आते, बाकी 3 में मुझे तुक्का मारना है, तो 2 अच्छे वाले पहले करना, right? Cool. Exam correcting is online, but still पढ़ना तो पड़ रहा है ना किसी को, right? OMR sheets are probably like checked through machines, but subjective questions probably will be checked as well, right? कोई ना कोई तो पढ़ेगा बैठ के. और handwriting थोड़ी साफ रखना please. If you think about the examiner, you will get extra marks. You might. I to feel in chartered accountancy, every mark counts. 39 and 40 can change your future, right? 39 and 40, that 1 mark can change your future. So every mark is important. It is majority digital हो चुका है values, right? ये सारे questions for tomorrow. Let's get back to strategic control. यही सब questions करेंगे कल. जो पूछना है पूछना about the syllabus, about your doubts, about questions, about examination, about whatever it is. Abhi let's complete chapter 8. आज हो जाएगा, I think so, probably. Strategic control, back to the syllabus. Strategic controlling is regarded as the core function of management process. Okay, simple है. Strategic control का मतलब क्या है? Strategic control का मतलब है to regulate and check. To regulate and check. That is to ensure that what is planned is actually translated into results. ये तो हमने पढ़ लिया, right? Strategic control simple means जो plan किया था वो achieve कर पा रहे हैं या नहीं. Okay. Now elements. The elements of strategic control. Right? The process of control has the following elements. Number one is objectives. Objectives should be measurable and controllable, right? It should be operationalized into measurable and controllable standards. Your objectives should be measurable. आज से 3 दिन बाद मैं 4 चैप्टर कंप्लीट कर लूंगा. It is measurable, right? आज मैं अच्छा पढ़ लूंगा. That is not measurable. If you think your objective is कि यार मैं काफी syllabus complete कर दूंगा, काफी is not measurable, right? It has to be in 1 week I will complete revision of at least 2 chapters. That is measurable. ऐसा होना चाहिए objective, right? Mechanism for monitoring and measuring performance of the system. There should be a mechanism for monitoring and measuring performance of the system. राइट कुछ मेट्रिक्स होने चाहिए कि रेवेन्यू कितना ग्रो कर रहा है, प्रॉफिट्स कितने ग्रो कर रहे हैं, राइट? आर वी इन द राइट डायरेक्शन? आर वी गेटिंग मोर कस्टमर्स? आर वी लूजिंग कस्टमर्स? इज माय कंपटीशन डूइंग बेटर देन मी? व्हाट इज माय कंपेटिटर्स मार्जिन? व्हाट इज माय कंपेटिटर्स रेवेन्यू? व्हाट आर द काइंड ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स? द मेजरेबल मैकेनिज्म होना चाहिए, एक मॉनिटरिंग मैकेनिज्म होना चाहिए. देयर शुड बी समथिंग टू कंपेयर, राइट? अ मैकेनिज्म फॉर कंपेयरिंग, राइट? कंपेयर करने के एक्चुअल रिजल्ट्स विद स्टैंडर्ड्स. कि मैंने सोचा था कंट्रोल मींस एक्चुअली एग्जीक्यूटिंग व्हाट इज प्लान्ड. मैंने सोचा था मैं 1000 customers I will acquire in 1 year. In actual, I have acquired 1100. That means I am doing, my strategy is right. If I had planned I will acquire 1000 customers, right? And I only got 700 customers. That means कुछ ना कुछ या तो मुझे स्ट्रैटेजी चेंज करना है या मुझे एग्जीक्यूशन चेंज करना है. Either I have to change my implementation or my formulation. That I have to figure out. Okay. Detecting deviations, right? Any deviation from the standards, right? जैसे ये 300 का डिफरेंस आ गया, तो हम ये इसको कैसे मीट करेंगे? How will we meet this deviation? Is what strategic control is about. Learning new insights on standards themselves, right? Learning new insights. When you analyze the data, when you understand the market, कि यार प्रॉफिट क्यों गिर रहा है, मेरा कंपटीटर का प्रॉफिट क्यों बढ़ रहा है और मेरा क्यों गिर रहा है, right? You understand a lot of things when you control. When you have measurable objectives, you start understanding a lot more things about the business, right? That is learning new insights. Number 4, mechanism for feeding back. That means corrective and adaptive information. You keep taking feedback from customers, you keeping feedback from employees. Feedback लेना बहुत जरूरी है. The biggest thing in strategic control is feedback. That means feedback from the customer, feedback from the employees, from the suppliers, from the purchase department, from the government, from the credit, from the bank. सबसे feedback लो कि यार business में हम क्या सही कर रहे हैं, क्या गलत कर रहे हैं, right? Keep taking a mechanism for feedback that helps you control, that helps you achieve your goals much better as planned, right? So feedback is a great mechanism under strategic control. Okay, feedback is a part of strategic control. Exam में आएगा, याद रखना. Feedback is a part of strategic control. Okay, cool. Primarily, there are 3 types of controls. Okay, 3 type के control होते हैं: operational control, management control, and strategic control. सुनने में बहुत tough है, but very simple, very simple. Okay. There's a question in exams: is it sufficient to write keywords for the products, or do we want to write as in the module? Keywords are more than enough, right? But your sentences should be complete. सिर्फ keyword लिख के मत आ जाओ. Write a full-fledged paragraph. Write the keywords, underline them. Write the keywords, underline them in your paragraph. I'm pretty sure you'll get full marks. Okay. 3 types of organizational controls: operational, management control, and strategic control. So operational control focuses on individual tasks, right? Operations के ऊपर है. So am I achieving my operations? मुझे 4 दिन बाद ये रिपोर्ट चाहिए थी, क्या मैं ये रिपोर्ट कर पा रहा हूँ? या मुझे 7 days, like every month I need to understand my business. Am I able to do that monthly operational level pay to check or to control whether I'm achieving my operations or not, whether I'm able to implement my operations as planned or not. That is operational control. Processes sahi chal rahe hain ya nahi. Management control is more about short term and long term strategy को check करते हैं, right? सबसे ground level पे operational control है, whether my processes, my real actions are in control or not. Then you go एक level ऊपर. Then you go एक level ऊपर where your short-term and long-term goals and objectives, where your short-term and long-term goals and objectives are within control or not, whether they are being achieved as per plan or not, whether are they on track or not, right? That is management control. सबसे top level पे आ जाता है strategy control. सबसे top level पे strategy control. So strategy control focuses on two questions. Number one, implementation is as planned and are intended results being met. Overall company का implementation सही चल रहा है, overall company का result सही चल रहा है या नहीं, right? I am concerned with the overall business at strategic control level, right? Operational level, management control, operational, then management, and strategic. Operational, management control, and then strategic control, right? Strategy control process is done by all level managers, corporate, business, and operational. More or so, strategic control is majorly done by top level, management control by business level, operational control by functional level. Okay. Smita, we're not taking a break. Next 30-40 minutes, हम लोग chapter ही खत्म कर देंगे, right? I want to save 20-25 minutes for you guys as well. राइट दिन बचता है, अदरवाइज इट विल बी 9:40 समथिंग और फिर पूरा दिन आपको 10 बज जाएंगे, फिर आपको लगेगा अरे 10 बज गए, राइट? अंडरलाइनिंग विद पेंसिल इज अलाउड, एब्सोल्युटली अलाउड, हु सेज नो, बट पेन से करोगे तो भी चलेगा वरना टाइम वेस्ट होगा, राइट? बट योर चॉइस. विल टॉक अबाउट ऑल ऑफ दिस टुमारो, राइट? होल्ड योर क्वेश्चंस अबाउट एग्जामिनेशंस टिल टुमारो, इसीलिए कल का सेशन रखा है. बी प्रेजेंट, बी एक्टिव, आस्क ऑल योर डाउट्स अबाउट एग्जामिनेशन, आंसर कैसे लिखते हैं, क्या करना है, and I'll answer everything from my experience. Okay, I can just share my experience. It might be a good strategy for you or not. You will have to decide. मैं अपना experience आपको सारा बता, right? Okay. Strategic control types. Okay, there is premise control, then there is strategic surveillance, strategic special alert control, and implementation control. Okay, बहुत simple है. बहुत सिंपल है. These words are very confusing. I agree. These words are यार ये कैसे याद होगा, याद करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. I will give you an example. Okay, I will give you an example. You are the CEO of the company. You are the CEO of the company. You wake up in the morning, you open the newspaper, and you identify yaar, you are the CEO of, let's say, a leather manufacturing company. You open the newspaper in the morning and you see कि यार लेदर एक्सपोर्ट बैन कर दिया है गवर्नमेंट ने. गवर्नमेंट हैज बैंड लेदर एक्सपोर्ट एंड यू आर द सीईओ ऑफ लेदर एक्सपोर्ट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनी. अभी तो आपको लगेगा यार मेरी स्ट्रैटेजी को तो धक्का लग गया, राइट? माय स्ट्रैटेजी इज नाउ एट फॉल्ट. मेरी तो स्ट्रैटेजी पूरी चेंज करनी पड़ेगी मुझे, राइट? दिस मीन्स एवरी डे if the CEO is waking up every day in the morning to read newspaper about the industry, to read news about his or her industry, that is called premise control. That is called premise control. Systematic focus and continuous monitoring of environmental factors, of industry factors. अब system से every day आप सुबह उठ के या शाम को, whatever the case is, you are reading about industry factors, competitors क्या कर रहे हैं, external environment में क्या change हो रहा है, which is related to my business. That is premise control. That is premise control. Strategic surveillance, which is unfocused, loose form of control. Now this CEO goes sham ko after office, he or she is going to, let's say, a restaurant, right? अपने friends के साथ, he or she is going for a dinner with her or his friends. 4-5 और लोग हैं who are also into business. अब जनरली बात हो रही है डिनर टेबल पे एंड समवन टेल्स अरे तुम्हें पता है कि यार वहां पे फॉरेन एक्सचेंज का रेट बढ़ने वाला है, राइट? सो लाइक इफ यू आर एक्सपोर्टिंग टू अफ्रीका, अफ्रीका में एक्सपोर्ट ड्यूटी बढ़ने वाली है, अभी 5% है, 7% करने वाले हैं सरकार। Now, this is an unfocused, loose form of control, right? You're talking to people, you're gathering information which might become relevant to your business, right? Which might become relevant to your business. That is strategic surveillance. Unfocused है, loose form of control है। आप डिनर पे बिजनेस की बात करने नहीं गए थे। अगर आप बिजनेस की बात करने जाते तो वो प्रेमाइस कंट्रोल होता, बट यू आर डूइंग स्ट्रेटेजिक सर्वेलेंस, राइट? अनफोकस्ड, कहीं चलते फिरते कहीं पढ़ लिया, चलते फिरते किसी से सुन लिया, राइट? यू स्टडीड समवेयर, यू ओवरहर्ड समवेयर, किसी ने आपको कुछ बता दिया, दैट इज स्ट्रेटेजिक सर्वेलेंस। अनफोकस्ड है, लूज फॉर्म ऑफ कंट्रोल है, इट इज अ लूज फॉर्म ऑफ कंट्रोल, राइट? स्पेशल अलर्ट कंट्रोल, स्पेशल अलर्ट कंट्रोल, इमीडिएट एंड इंटेंस रिव्यू ऑफ इवेंचुअलिटीज। एकदम से कुछ चेंज हो गया, you get to know and you do a special alert control. What you do is immediate and intense review of eventualities, right? China से war हो गई इंडिया की, China declares war on India, India declares war on China, immediate कुछ हो गया, immediate and intense review of your strategies you do, that is special alert control. That is special alert control for a business कि यार फटाफट से strategy change करो क्योंकि war तो आज अभी से शुरू हो गई है, right? Businesses will be impacted from next 1 minute itself. Strategy change करो, माल रोक दो, एक्सपोर्ट बंद कर दो, कैश फ्लोज मंगा लो, जितना पैसा मार्केट में था सबको बोलो हमारी पेमेंट करें, राइट? स्टार्ट कलेक्टिंग कैशेस, डेटर को कम कर दो, कैश कलेक्ट कर लो, उसको इन्वेस्ट कर दो, मार्केट से पैसा निकाल लो, राइट? ऑल दीज आर स्पेशल अलर्ट कंट्रोल्स। Implementation control, it is not an operational control, it is continuous, two types. So monitoring, strategic thrust and milestone reviews, okay? Now what is this? Implementation control क्या होता है? कभी कभी बिजनेस को एकदम कोई झटका लगता है, राइट? एकदम से कोई कस्टमर प्रेफरेंस चेंज हो गई। फॉर एग्जाम्पल premise control is you visiting IES, ICI, BOS, that is right much, that is premise control, okay? क्या नया आया है, कुछ नोटिफिकेशन आया है, that is premise control, good example. Now, implementation control is two types: monitoring, strategic thrust, and milestone review. Okay, अचानक से कुछ होता है, let's say customer, you are let's say a soft drink company, ठीक है, आप कोका कोला हो, अब लोग कह रहे यार इतनी ज्यादा चीनी हमें नहीं पीनी, चीनी नहीं पीनी, people are getting off sugar, right? लोग चीनी कम पीना पसंद कर रहे हैं, and कोका कोला तो पानी, चीनी वाला पानी है, right? Pepsi, Thumbs Up, all this is चीनी वाला पानी, essentially. Right? And people are becoming more health conscious. So it is monitoring strategic thrusts. There is change in the business. There is a strategic blockage कि यार existing business में कुछ धक्का लग गया एकदम से. So monitoring strategic thrust is part of implementation control. You keep a check on that कि कहीं धक्के तो नहीं लग रहे business को. Some blockages, some speed breakers aren't coming in the business. That is monitoring strategic thrusts. Number 2 is milestone review. So milestone review is every 3 months you go and review your entire business. Every 6 months you do that. Every 1 year you do that. Depends on the business. Depends on the business. Depends on top management कब वो पूरा फिर से एक बारी strategy check करना चाहते हैं. So it is called milestone reviews. कि after 3 months we'll do that. After 1 year I'll do that. Another example is car service, right? जब आप गाड़ी खरीदते हैं, when you buy a car, there are milestone reviews. When you complete 20,000 kilometers, first service of car is done by the company for free. When you complete 50,000, when you complete 1 lakh, milestones दे दिया. When you complete or achieve this milestone, you go and review कि हम कहाँ पे हैं. When you achieve another milestone, you review again. When you achieve the next milestone, you review again. So based on milestones, you start reviewing your business. कि जब तक 20,000 कस्टमर हम अक्वायर नहीं कर लेते, we will not look at strategy again. हमारी स्ट्रैटेजी ठीक है. 20,000 कस्टमर होते ही you go and check your strategy whether we are in control or not. Then at 50,000 customers, then at 1 lakh customers. So that is milestone reviews, right? That is part of implementation control. Caffeine is also part of control, right? मुझे शुगर फ्री कोक तो सबसे बड़ा स्कैम है, राइट? देयर इज नथिंग एज अ शुगर फ्री कोक. शुगर फ्री कोक तो कड़वी होगी, बट शुगर फ्री कोक मीठी कैसे है, राइट? उसमें शुगर नहीं है, सुक्रोस है. सो व्हाट स्मार्ट दे डू इज दे आर राइटिंग जीरो शुगर कोक, एंड दैट इज राइट. उसमें शुगर नहीं है, उसमें सुक्रोज है, विच इज रॉ फॉर्म ऑफ शुगर. चीनी नहीं डाल रहे, आपका आपका गन्ने का रस डाल रहे. बात तो वही हो गई, राइट? The newspaper example is in strategic surveillance and study material. See, depends how frequent. So premise control and strategic surveillance. अगर strategic surveillance है, you are not reading the newspaper specifically to understand the business, तो वो strategic surveillance है, right? How this will define is कि आपका focus क्या है. अगर आप newspaper पढ़ रहे हो to understand environmental factors and industry factors, it is premise control. बट आप जनरल, अब मसाला न्यूज, आप उठ के कार्तिक आर्यन की नई मूवी के बारे में पढ़ने के लिए न्यूज़पेपर खोल रहे हो, बट आपने अपनी इंडस्ट्री के बारे में भी पढ़ लिया. दैट इज स्ट्रेटेजिक सर्वेलेंस, राइट? सो डिफाइंस योर फोकस ऑन अ पर्टिकुलर थिंग, कि वेदर इट इज प्रेमाइज कंट्रोल और स्ट्रेटेजिक सर्वेलेंस, राइट? Absolutely, 99% ads are half truth only. Correct? Okay. Next topic after strategic control is strategy audit. It identifies the need to adjust the existing business strategies and plans. क्या existing strategy और plan को change करने की जरूरत है भी या नहीं is strategic audit. Whether you need to change the existing strategy or not is what strategy audit talks about. Okay, strategy audit talks about whether you need to adjust your existing business strategy or not. Okay, it is a periodic review and evaluation of existing strategy. Periodic review, हर 6 महीने, हर साल, हर 2 साल, depends on the business when they want to do this review. So every 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, there will be a strategy audit that the existing strategy को change करने की जरूरत है या नहीं. But how will you understand that? The core questions to ask when we talk about strategy audit are case scenario question है, MCQ question है, how does a company decide whether they should go for strategy audit, whether they need to change their strategy or not, whether they need to change their existing strategy or not, what are the core questions in strategy audit. Case scenario, MCQ question, 4 questions that you may ask, 4 questions that you may ask in strategy audit. Okay, I have a few questions. Let me just answer that. Any act done with business intention is premise control. That is right. Informal business meeting, is it premise control? 2, yes, it's done with a business mindset. It is premise control. You are there to understand about business. It is premise control. Okay. The core questions of strategy audit: how well is the current strategy working? How well is the current strategy be working in the future? Right? अभी कैसा काम कर रही है, फ्यूचर में कैसा रहेगी? Will this even be successful in the future? How can this be evaluated in present and future? How urgent is there a need to change the strategy? 4 questions के आंसर अगर yes हैं और they indicate that you need to change the strategy, then you need to change the strategy. If the answers to these 4 questions indicate that you need to change the strategy, then you need to change the strategy. How well the current strategy is working? How well will the current strategy be working in the future? How can this be evaluated in present and future? How urgent is there a need to change the strategy? Right? अगर इन सबके आंसर से मुझे लगता है कि यह स्ट्रैटेजी चेंज करने की जरूरत है, दैट इज स्ट्रैटेजी ऑडिट का काम. स्ट्रैटेजी ऑडिट इन 4 क्वेश्चंस का आंसर लाके देती है. स्ट्रैटेजी ऑडिट हेल्प्स यू टू आंसर दीज 4 क्वेश्चंस. Strategy audit helps you to answer these 4 questions. If the answer to these 4 questions comes out that you need to change the strategy, then you need to change the strategy. Right? Okay. A strategy audit is needed under the following conditions. Strategy audit की जरूरत तब पड़ सकती है when the current strategy is not producing desired outcomes. When the current strategy is not giving the desired outcome, you might want to do a strategy audit कि यार क्यों नहीं आ रहा है desired result, क्या चीज चेंज करने की जरूरत है, क्या चीज चेंज करने की जरूरत है, वो strategy audit बताए. when the objectives are not being accomplished, when a major change takes place in external environment, when the top management plans to fine-tune existing strategies and to ensure that strategy is in tune with subtle internal and external changes that may have occurred since the formulation of strategies. Improve करने के लिए अगर top management कहती है existing strategy को improve करना है तो भी strategy audit किया जा सकता है. When you are not achieving your desired outcomes, when you're not achieving your objectives, when the external environment has changed, you will need a strategy audit, because strategy audit tells you whether you need to change the strategy and how you do that is what strategy audit tells you. कि यार ये change कर लो तो आपका ठीक हो जाएगा, वो change कर लो तो ठीक हो जाएगा, ये चीज change करो, वो चीज change करो, सब कुछ strategy audit आपको बता देगा. It's a whole process to identify what needs to be changed and whether it is to be changed or not. Whether it is to be changed or not, and if it is need to be changed, what needs to be changed, वो strategy audit बता देगा. ठीक है, सिंपल है. अचीव नहीं कर रहे हो गोल्स, एफिशिएंसी बढ़ानी है, एग्जिस्टिंग स्ट्रैटेजी को और बेटर करना है, तो स्ट्रैटेजी ऑडिट की जाए. राइट. Now activities, 3 basic activities होती है. They examine the existing strategy, they compare the expected results with actual results, and it tells you the corrective actions. Right? Existing strategy को examine करते हैं, they compare it with your expectation. Abhi if I say I'm not achieving my goals, I'm not achieving my objectives, strategy audit team will ask me, so what are your expected results? कितना difference है? Right? If let's say I am saying कि यार मुझे 15 करोड़ का revenue करना है and I am only doing 12 crores of revenue, तो 3 करोड़ का gap में how do I achieve those extra 3 crores? Strategy audit मुझे बता देगा. Right? When strategy change occurs, strategy audit is an essential. That is right. Examining the underlying strategy, finding what are the expected results and how far you are from your expected results, and giving you suggestions of corrective actions and giving you alternatives of corrective actions is what strategy audit does for a business. Okay. बहुत सिंपल है. रिचर्ड रूमेल करके एक आदमी, उन्होंने क्या बोला? स्ट्रैटेजी ऑडिट के क्राइटेरियाज क्या है? स्ट्रैटेजी ऑडिट के क्राइटेरियाज क्या है? राइट. स्ट्रैटेजी कंसिस्टेंसी विद पॉलिसीज. ओके. कॉन्सोनेंस पढ़ेंगे, बहुत सिंपल. फीजिबिलिटी एंड प्रोवाइड कंपेटिटिव एडवांटेज. स्ट्रैटेजी ऑडिट करने का क्राइटेरिया क्या है? रिचर्ड रूमेल बताते हैं. ही टॉक्स अबाउट, ही सेज बॉस आपको स्ट्रैटेजी ऑडिट कब करना चाहिए, राइट, और क्यों करना चाहिए? स्ट्रैटेजिक कंसिस्टेंसी विद द पॉलिसीज. राइट. दैट मीन्स if managerial problems continue हो रही हैं, managers manage नहीं कर पा रहे हैं काम को, success for one department is equal to failure of other. अगर ऐसा हो रहा है that if one department का success means failure of another department, or there are policy problems and issues continuously problems हैं, continuously कुछ ना कुछ problem है कंपनी में, strategy audit करो. Consonance, examine individual trends and their interactions. राइट. एक्सटर्नल एनवायरनमेंट की बात करें, जो पीछे दिया था ना, जो पीछे ये दिया था, ये 4 पॉइंट दिए थे, इसी को उन्होंने अपनी बुक में थोड़ा सा फॉर्मुलेट करके, थोड़ा ऑर्गेनाइज करके, थोड़ा थ्योरेटिकल बना दिया. राइट. एसेंशियली द बात रिमेन्स द सेम, द क्रक्स रिमेन्स द सेम. राइट. इफ यू रीड, व्हेन यू रीड द स्टडी मटेरियल, व्हेन यू रीड दी स्लाइड्स अगेन, आपको भी समझ आ जाएगा सेम ही चीज बोल रहे हैं. ठीक है. इंडिविजुअल ट्रेंड्स को करो, एक्सटर्नल एनवायरनमेंट को एनालाइज करो, अगर कुछ चेंज है तो स्ट्रैटेजी ऑडिट करो. फीजिबिलिटी, neither overtax available resources nor create unsolvable problems. That means strategy audit की जरूरत तब होगी when your existing resources are being overburdened. Right? एक आदमी 4 आदमी का काम कर रहा है, right? और you have a lot of loan from the bank, पैसा लिए जा रहे हो बैंक से, but business चल नहीं रहा है. You're overburdening your resources. You need to change your strategy. For that, you need strategy audit. कुछ गड़बड़ है बिजनेस में गया तो स्ट्रैटेजी ऑडिट चाहिए. Provide competitive advantage in either resource, scale and position. Agar your business is no longer having a competitive advantage, you need to create a competitive advantage, and strategy audit will come into picture to tell you, boss, strategy competitive advantage आपके पास नहीं है अभी, because you are facing so many problems. Because as a company you are facing so many problems, आपके पास competitive advantage नहीं है. So strategy audit करो, उसे पता करो गड़बड़ क्या है, understand what are the problems, figure out the right solutions, change your strategy and achieve competitive advantage. Strategy audit का मतलब है. Consonance means the conjunction, right? Relationship. Consonance means in flow, आपस में मिला जुला. You have to understand the external environment and its impact on your business. आपको उसका relationship समझना है. That is consonance. That means how do they work together? How do they influence each other? How does an external environment का change influences your business? That is consonance, right? That is consonance. Strategy audit is conducted by whom? Extremely important question जो कि कोई नहीं पूछ रहा था. Really good, Mansha. Who does strategy audit? Okay. Two things. या तो internally you can build a team internally who does a strategy audit, or you can hire external consultants, right? Like Boston Consulting Group, McKinsey and Company, Bain and Company. Management consultants जो होते हैं वो strategy audit करते हैं. Management consultants, one of the highest paid, most sought after jobs after MBA, after CA. CA rank holders को ही मिलता है सिर्फ management consultancy, right? All India rank 1, 2, 3 सिर्फ इन 3 बच्चों को मिलता है मैनेजमेंट कंसल्टिंग. इट इज सच अ प्राइम जॉब. MBA के बाद if you do MBA from any IIM or from foreign universities, you get into management consulting. वहाँ पे strategy audit होता है, right? This is the kind of consultancy they provide to businesses, management consultants. Or there can be an internal team as well. Really depends. अब इंटरनल टीम में क्या कर सकते हैं? दे कैन टेक 2-3 टॉप मैनेजमेंट पीपल, 1-2 बिजनेस लेवल के, 1-2 फंक्शन लेवल के, ये 5-6 लोग मिलके एक स्ट्रैटेजी ऑडिट टीम बन जाते हैं, एंड देन दे डू द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का स्ट्रैटेजी ऑडिट. डिपेंड्स हाउ द बिजनेस वांट्स टू डू दैट, राइट? सिमिलरली लाइक ऑडिट होता है, ठीक है? ऑडिट भी ऐसे ही होता है. इट इज लाइक एन इंटरनल ऑडिट. स्ट्रैटेजी ऑडिट इज मोर लाइक एन इंटरनल ऑडिट. या तो आप KPMG, EY, Deloitte कहीं से भी करवा लो, PwC से करवा लो, GT, Grant Thornton से करवा लो, और any top 10 firms, top 20 firms in India. You go and hire them to do an internal audit. या आप internal audit अपने आप अपनी organization के you can do it yourself as well, right? It is similar to internal audit. Okay. Strategy audit, strategy evaluation is more difficult today because the environment is complex, right? And rapid rate of obsolescence of even the best plan. Technology इतनी तेजी से change होती है. Environment is so complex that strategy evaluation is also becoming very difficult. जब तक आप problem ढूंढोगे तब तक कोई नई problem आ चुकी होती है, right? जब तक आप problem ढूंढेंगे तब तक environment में या business में कोई नई problem आ चुकी होती है. It is so fast, and that is why strategy evaluation and audit is becoming very, very difficult, right? Why is strategy audit and evaluation is becoming difficult? Because the environment is complex, and the change rate of technology, of things, of any trend or event in the environment is super duper fast, right? It is very, very fast, right? Okay. Last topic. इसके बाद benchmarking है, which we can do in next session also. DPR समझते हैं for the next 10 minutes and then we close the session for today. Benchmarking बहुत छोटा सा है. We'll do that in next session. कोई नहीं, 1-5 मिनट लगेंगे, रिवाइज भी हो जाएगा चैप्टर 8. Okay. There is focus on business process re-engineering. Okay. कभी भी कंफ्यूज हो कि इसका मतलब क्या है? Is it like changing your strategy? Is it like tweaking your strategy? कुछ छोटा मोटा adjustment करना है? नहीं. Business process re-engineering means starting all over from scratch. Starting all over from scratch. Okay. आपकी एक गाड़ी है, दिस इज अ कार, ओके। ये कौन सी गाड़ी है? ये क्या बन गया, छोड़ो। I'll tell you. So let's suppose this is a car, okay? Let's suppose this is a car और आपकी कार थोड़ी सी टूट गई, सो यू चेंज द टायर्स, आपने टायर्स चेंज कर दिए, राइट? दिस इज नॉट बिजनेस प्रोसेस री इंजीनियरिंग, दिस इज स्ट्रैटेजी ऑडिट और स्ट्रैटेजी इंप्लीमेंटेशन, स्ट्रैटेजी चेंज है ये, राइट? इट इज अ स्ट्रैटेजिक चेंज कि आपके टायर्स घिस गए थे तो आपने टायर्स चेंज कर दिए, या आपने हेडलाइट्स चेंज कर दी, आपने इंजन ऑयल चेंज कर दिया. All this is strategy change, all this is internal changes, right? Business process re-engineering is starting from scratch all over again. वापस से आप चैसी निकालते हो, उसका बेस नया लाते हो, उसके टायर नए करते हो, इंजन नया लगाते हो, नई गाड़ी पूरी स्क्रैच से बनाते हो, उसको बोलते हैं बिजनेस प्रोसेस री-इंजीनियरिंग. बट the classic difference between business process re-engineering, कौन बताएगा मुझे? Anyone who answers gets 5 extra marks from me. अभी वो कहाँ मिलेंगे पता नहीं. But can we write about topic from IT study material? नहीं, मैं अभी आपको और सिंपल बता देता हूँ. Here I'll tell you इससे भी सिंपल business process re-engineering का आंसर, okay? Who will tell me the real difference between business process re-engineering and strategic change? The real difference between business process re-engineering and strategic change, दोनों words के अंदर ही meaning छुपा हुआ है, okay? The difference is hidden within the names of the things. ये hint दे दिया मैंने. Difference between strategy change versus business process re-engineering. मैं तो सोच रहा हूँ बिजनेस प्रोसेस री-इंजीनियरिंग भी नेक्स्ट सेशन में ही करें. लेट अस स्पेंड 5-10 मिनट्स ऑन क्वेश्चंस ओनली, वरना ओवरलोड हो जाएगा जो थिंकिंग. लेट अस सी, फर्स्ट आई विल रीड योर आंसर्स. बिजनेस प्रोसेस री-इंजीनियरिंग ऑपरेशनल इन नेचर, स्ट्रेटेजिक चेंजेस प्लानिंग चेंज. नॉट नेसेसरीली, नॉट नेसेसरीली नहीं रखो. क्लोज इनफ बट नॉट द राइट आंसर. थिंक अगेन, थोड़ा और सोचो, थोड़ा और सोचो. Business process re-engineering is redesigning of whole business, and strategic change is change in the current business. No, Hiral. Strategic change is making change in existing strategy. Business process re-engineering is deleting the existing, making a new one, both because of external factors. नहीं, मजा आएगा when you get to know the meaning. New lobby development, अच्छा नहीं, okay. Business process re-engineering is business structure. No, नहीं, not necessarily. Strategic change mainly involves top management. BPR involves complete organization. नहीं, no. BPR does not consider existing environment, but strategic change consider existing environment. नहीं, ऐसा भी नहीं है. Hint दे रहा हूं मैं, hint. The answer is hidden in the words itself. The answer is hidden in the words itself. Restructuring a company's organization is BPR. Not at all. Not at all. ये तो बहुत ही गलत है हितेश. Business organization change करने is organizational structure change. That is not BPR. This is business process re-engineering. Business process re-engineering makes strategies towards specific outcome. वो तो strategic change भी वही करता है. How is this different? Reimagine the entire process. Okay, but how is it different from strategic change? Strategic change is new model. BPR is new car itself. नहीं. Difference between strategy and process. Absolutely, Karthik. You're nearing the answer. Strategic change is in strategy. BPR is a change in process. Absolutely. That is the right answer. अभी समझो, इसको समझो. Why were you getting so confused? Okay. सबसे टॉप पे है स्ट्रैटेजी. सबसे टॉप पे है स्ट्रैटेजी. स्ट्रैटेजी के नीचे आते हैं गोल्स एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स. राइट. गोल्स एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स आते हैं. गोल्स एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स को अचीव करने के लिए देयर आर प्रोसेसेस. गोल्स एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स को अचीव करने के लिए देयर आर प्रोसेसेस. Now you tell me, what is the difference between business process re-engineering and strategic change? अभी समझे. Strategic change versus business process re-engineering, entirely different concept. एकदम ही अलग कॉन्सेप्ट है. स्ट्रैटेजी के अंदर है गोल्स एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स. गोल्स एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स के अंदर है प्रोसेस. इफ यू आर स्टिल कंफ्यूज्ड, गो टू दैट चैप्टर. यू रिमेंबर वी स्टडीड स्ट्रैटेजिक इंटेंट. इंटेंट के अंदर विजन, विजन के ऊपर मिशन, मिशन के ऊपर गोल्स एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स, गोल्स एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स के ऊपर आता है प्रोसेस. राइट. स्ट्रैटेजी तो इंटेंट पे ही चेंज हो जाता है. प्रोसेस इज दी outermost thing जहाँ पे actual action हो रहे हैं, actual processes हैं. Right. There can be one or two strategies in the company. There can be one or two strategies in the company, but there are like 5,000. There can be one or two strategies of the company की cost leadership करना है, product development करना है, market development करना है. Strategy एक दो हो सकती है, but there are like 500 plus processes. 500 plus processes. Right. 500 से ज्यादा प्रोसेस होते हैं किसी भी कंपनी में. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, an example of process is how do you procure laptops for your employees? That is a process. That is a process. Correct. स्ट्रैटेजी का तो कोई लेना देना ही नहीं है उससे. You have 1,000 employees in your company. Everyone needs a laptop. कंपनी प्रोवाइड्स यू अ लैपटॉप. ये लैपटॉप को परचेज किससे करना है, कैसे करना है, डिलीवरी कैसे होगी, पीपल वर डूइंग वर्क फ्रॉम होम, सबके घर पे लैपटॉप पहुंचाना. इट इज अ बिजनेस प्रोसेस. राइट. बिजनेस का एक प्रोसेस है, एक छोटा सा काम है बिजनेस का. पूरे बिजनेस में छोटे छोटे ऐसे 5,000 काम होते हैं. राइट. यू गो टू ऑफिसेज, देयर आर लाइक 10 कॉफी मशीन्स. राइट. 2 फ्लोर का ऑफिस है, 10 कॉफी मशीन्स है, जिसमें हमेशा दूध कॉफी रहना चाहिए. Who is doing that? The admin department is doing that. That is a business process. एक process है company, right? Procurement एक process है. Logistics, salary सबको time पे first of every month सारे employees को salary मिल जानी चाहिए. That is a banking process of the business. ऐसे 5,000 काम होते हैं company में. Business process re-engineering is talking about these processes. Strategy तो बहुत ऊपर level पे है. स्ट्रैटेजी तो बहुत ऊपर लेवल पे है. राइट. इज दिस अंडरस्टूड? BPR is a narrow sense, strategy change broader. That is right. Lays were previously oil frying chips, now it is using air fryer. Is this right? Probably yes, with more of strategy health based. Right. This is more of consumer based strategy. But ठीक है, इसको business process re-engineering भी बोल सकते हैं. Because you're right, production process को change कर दिया. Right? Cool. Clear? Super good. I think I will not touch on BPR also today. Let us spend next 5 minutes on questions, on doubts, and then wrap up the session for today. I'll start with BPR and benchmarking. दो ही बचे हैं, 10-15 मिनट में कर लेंगे next session में. Then we'll spend on case scenarios, we'll spend questions, and we'll do the last session on Thursday on everything possible around examination. आराम से बहुत टाइम है हमारे पास. राइट. BPR का लॉजिक समझ आ गया है, अब बस इसकी थ्योरी समझ लेंगे and we'll be good for examinations. Let us spend next 3-4 minutes on questions or doubts. I'm stopping the session here. I don't want to like बहुत ज्यादा हो जाएगा I think for today. Right? बहुत ज्यादा concepts हो जाएंगे, mix हो जाएगा आपके लिए. I hope BPR is clear, right? I hope BPR is clear. Now let's spend 3-4 minutes on any doubts and any questions. If everything is clear, awesome. I'm happy that we have almost completed the syllabus well within time, right? If everything is clear and you want to go back to your college or you want to like go get ready or go and relax, thank you for everyone who has joined. For everyone who has any questions and doubts, I'm here for the next 3-4 minutes. Ask your doubts, ask your questions. Happy to answer. Every strategy can be a business process, but every business process cannot be a strategy. That is absolutely right statement. That is absolutely right statement. That is absolutely right. वीरेंद्र EIS के सारे चैप्टर पढ़ो, 2 क्यों पढ़ने आपको, सारा पढ़ के जाओ. Thank you, thanks Pooja, thanks Khushi. It's Khushi, that's a great name. The page 8.15 पे diagram. I think I'll have to go and look at the study material. Allow homes for me, right? Getting all my information कहाँ पैदा हुआ, कुंडली निकाल लो sir. Awesome, thanks Pooja, all clear, that's great. Can you explain monitoring strategy, thrust and special alert control? Special alert control Nilab jo is basically एकदम से कुछ हो जाता है, right? Special alert control is something great happens in external environment and you start checking that ki how do you change your strategy now? Why is that particular thing changing? How is that going to impact you? While monitoring strategic thrust is that kuch jhatke, small jhatkas versus big jhatkas. So special alert control is for big jhatkas and monitoring strategic thrust is small jhatkas, right? So that is how you can remember this. Awesome, great Radhika. Namrata, strategic thrust, again I'm saying, small speed breakers for business ko check rakhna. Checking the small speed breakers for businesses, monitoring strategic thrusts, and big huge gadde, right? Big huge valleys जो गाड़ी अंदर ही घुस जाए, वैसा उस चीज का ध्यान रखना है स्पेशल अलर्ट कंट्रोल, राइट? वीरेंद्र, आपको तो सारे चैप्टर छोड़ने ही हैं भाई, बिना पढ़े चले जाओ. आपको कौन सा छोड़ूं, कुछ मत छोड़ो भाई, सब पढ़ के जाओ, फटाफट से पढ़ो, रीड एवरीथिंग, ज्यादा टाइम थोड़ा लगता है. Already, I will not confirm if you are correct. You're becoming Sherlock Holmes and it is difficult. Great Karthik, आपको मजा है, मुझे भी मजा है. ये मजा मैं सबको देना चाहता हूँ, right? Like Rahul Gandhi. Sure. Figure that out and ask a conceptual question. I'll be happy. Strategic change means change in strategy due to change in external factors. BPR is change in overall formulation of a business process, not overall business. सिर्फ एक प्रोसेस है, इसमें तो एक सिर्फ प्रोसेस चेंज करने को भी कॉल बीपीआर. ओके, consonance means relationship, figuring out a relationship between the change in external environment and your business. How SWOT analysis is consonance. Yeah, ठीक है, एक relationship between the strength and opportunity in environment, weakness and threat in the environment. Consonance, relationship, right? Your comments are reaching, Siddharth. Absolutely, all your comments are reaching. अभी वाला तो आया, पिछला भी आ ही रहा है. Any questions or do we wrap up for today? We start with BPR and the next one. Right? BPR is narrow, change is a wider concept. Correct. That is true. Special alert, unexpected major incidents, monitoring small changes in the day-to-day activities. That is right. Cool. Awesome. You're spending too much time on thinking when what's subject to study. Probably next session में let us ask everyone who's on the chat how are they planning to study. Maybe किसी को help हो जाए, right? We'll do that. मजा आएगा. वीरेंद्र, कहाँ चले गए भाई? Market growth matrix. Everything is explained with examples. I think you have joined today. If not, go, all these sessions are there recorded on YouTube, on BOS Live. Go and watch all these recorded sessions, 2x pe dekh lo. Every concept is explained in detail with examples, right? Cool. Business process reengineering means re-employment a particular business process, strategy change, whole strategy. That is right, Shriram. You got the concept right. Okay. Cool. Probably Shiva. I think your question was lost in the chat. Not an issue. Next chapter, next session is all about question and answer only. कुछ ज़्यादा पढ़ेंगे नहीं. सिर्फ और सिर्फ आपके question answers पे ध्यान देंगे. Any questions which are left, Vinod, your question coming backward linkages, right? BPM may be considered for backward linkages. It can be. Really, it can be. जितना ज़्यादा सोचोगे उतना it can be done, right? So businesses have to decide on that, and it can be done. It cannot be done in isolation for sure, right? Cool. Let's end the session today, right? We'll start with BPR, do benchmarking, do case scenarios, and also do exam conversation ki kya padhna hai, kaise kiya, how did I achieve something, whatever I did, right? Apne experience, I'll tell you how I studied and what helped me. With that, let's wrap up for today. I'll meet you in the next session. Be active. It's going to be a super interactive session. Really important for everyone who wants to ask their doubts. Probably one of the last opportunities for face-to-face, right? So be there, be on time, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks for joining today.